between two years. It's Adrienne Eliades.
Yes.
Did I say that correctly?
You did.
Cool name. What is that, Eliades? Is that what's?
It's Greek.
That's Greek. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Cool. Do you have family from Greece, or?
I do. I mean, my parents are like first and second generation, so, not distant relatives come directly from Greece, but they're all Greek.
Have you been there?
I have. A number of years ago, I went with my mom and my grandmother.
That looks like a beautiful place.
Yeah, it's really pretty.
I have not been there yet. I actually got a message this morning from, gosh, what's her name? She was like one of my first shows. She's got a studio she opened in Portugal. Wares. So her and her husband moved, I think, from like the Seattle, Washington area to Portugal. And they bought this house with like an added studio because they want to do, workshops and stuff over there, travel workshops. So when I was talking to her, I said, "Oh my God, that sounds great." So she just called this morning and she said, "Well, we're taking guests whenever you're ready." I said, "Oh,
Wow.
let me run it by my wife first." It'd be like I told my wife that the other day. I said, I want to do like a long-term residency somewhere, like a 3 month or a 6 month, and she said, "Go ahead."
Well, yeah. Well, that's good. She's giving you the freedom. My
Okay.
husband and I have an agreement about residencies, and I'm allowed to go somewhere 1 month out of the year if I want to. I don't always do that.
Are you
That's
splitting
kind
up
of a
into
lot.
1 weekers?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that doesn't include like if I'm teaching or working.
Yeah.
That's just if I wanted to go do a residency. He's into me leaving
Yeah.
for about a month every year if I wanted to be that prolific in residencies. But ever since I got this space, I've slowed down with those quite a bit because I kind of have what I need at home, which is nice.
Yeah, isn't that great?
Mm-hmm. But residencies are a great way to get out and meet people and experiment with new things or new
Yeah.
techniques or new equipment. So I think my next one's not till 2027. And that is because the hurricane postponed that one because it's in Western North Carolina.
You want to Western North Carolina? Yeah. Where are you going?
Yeah, to Township 10.
Okay. My uncle's wife is at Starworks right now.
Oh, nice.
Doing
That's really
residency.
cool.
Actually, was going to mention that to you. You went to UNC Wilmington, right?
I did, yeah. So I lived in North Carolina for about 6 years and met my husband there. So we still have some family there, like his parents are in Winston-Salem and a bunch of friends. So I get back like once a year to different parts of the state. But I've lived on the coast. I lived in Raleigh for a little while, and then I spent some time up at Penland right after college. I did like a 2 month, what do they call those?
Oh, like an intensive.
Yeah, an intensive session, or there's a name for it that I can't remember. Yeah, so that was really great. So,
Yeah.
it's a place that has my heart and draws me back quite a bit, even though I'm all the way across the country in Washington State these days.
Penland is one place I want to go. I've taught at Aramont. I'm teaching out in Wisconsin. I love teaching workshops. That's something I have written down for you. You've done a ton of them.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
just love that. That's just fun for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily like the biggest moneymaker in the world all the time, but that's not really what I look for when I teach workshops, depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a student, a clay student, it just felt like this wonderful full circle moment of being able to share your craft with people that are coming up or coming to clay to express new ideas, and kind of keeping you in community and keeping conversation going. And I get so many ideas from my students that are in workshops. So I really see it as like a big part of my practice.
I love that it's usually people that kind of just love the medium and they want to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
Like they want to be there,
Yes. Yeah.
Which is
Which is
great.
different than my college students when I teach college.
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not to put them on blast, but they have different priorities.
You teach college classes then?
I haven't in a couple years, but I was teaching at Lewis and Clark in Portland for about a year as a lecturer. I've taught at Portland Community College on and off. I really do enjoy workshops a lot better, but sometimes I get offered opportunities and I have bills to pay, and it's nice to go moonlight or kind
What do you teach mostly when you do those? Like, what are you teaching? Like hand building, wheel throwing? What is it mostly?
So, because it's community colleges and then Lewis and Clark is a liberal arts college, it's kind of a bit of everything, right? So, definitely hand building to start, wheel throwing. I even teach some mold making, like light mold making sometimes. Fortunately, I kind of do everything in my practice, so I can preliminarily teach people how to do some of these techniques if
Preliminary.
they want to. Yeah, I mean, if they really want to become a mold maker, I don't think I'm the person they should learn that from, but
Yeah. So I went to Alfred, but I was not a ceramics guy at Alfred. I was just a dude who went to Alfred and found people that made clay, and I was like, wait, that's
okay.
cool. And then I tried it, and then it's yeah, that
Yeah,
was
it's the end.
20 years ago. But one of my best buddies is Sean Murray. He teaches the kiln building class at Alfred.
Hmm.
And for me, with plaster, I hate it. And he's like, Mike, it's the easiest thing. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, any one of you that is good with plaster, just say, oh, it's easy. It's only two parts. Or you can just do it where all you do is the mountain method. You just pour it into until it no.
Mm-mm.
It
No,
never
I don't
works.
think it's easy at all, and I think it requires a lot of like measuring and discipline, and to some degree it's like a more of a baking or like a woodworking mindset, right? Because if you do things wrong, you're going to get a wrong result. It's not like clay where you can just like put a little bit more
Yeah.
when the seam doesn't meet up or something. It's not as forgiving. Plaster was really overwhelming to me, but like you mentioned earlier before we started recording, I really view my work as like the forms are canvases. So I got some, feedback from a workshop instructor one time that was like, why are you even making these by hand? You just want to decorate. So I went off and did a residency in Denmark to figure out how to slip cast to see
Mhm.
if that was like an avenue that would be better for the way that I work. It was really eye opening and it was a great experience. It's too tight for me. I don't really want to make the exact same thing over and over and over again.
Yep.
And so I adopted it in my practice as like pieces and parts, like handles or feet or things that I wanted to replicate more quickly and have more sculptural.
Mhm.
But as far as like being a full blown slip caster, and I've worked in slip casting studios as like a resident artist since then. I've learned from people that actually know what they're doing and try instead of trying to teach myself.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I have a great respect for them, but it's almost too process oriented, which is a crazy thing to say when you're a clay artist because
yeah,
everything is process.
yeah.
Since I just work out of my 300 square foot garagio, like I don't have mold making space. I do it in the summer and I do it outside for the ventilation. And I live in the Pacific Northwest. It rains like 6, 7 months a year here. So it's really not a place that I can do that often.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I know it and I'm glad that I can teach, my students how to make damp boxes or simple press molds or two-part molds. But that's kind of where my expertise ends as far as like being able to teach it to other people. Because I don't know if you experience this. Like teaching, I feel like I need to kind of master it, quote unquote, or do a lot of it before
At
I
least
can.
to feel like you're ready to teach it. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not going to make up a new technique in my work and then put out a workshop a month later.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need like five years of practice maybe before I feel comfortable
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
trying to get people to sign up for something where I'm quote unquote the expert on that technique.
I wrote that down as well. Something you said about workshops and about kind of anxiety as an artist. I said, it's the weirdest thing. When I go teach a workshop, you get that pre-workshop anxiety. Am I really, do they really want me to talk to them for a
I
couple of
know.
days? Somebody must have made a clerical error.
I know. I
And
don't
then
know if that imposter syndrome ever goes away. I don't.
why is that? Gosh, I just don't
Well,
get
it's at least for me, I have quite a bit of like stage fright. So just talking in front of people, even in class growing up, like I never raised my hand. I never wanted to use my voice in front of others. I was really shy. So sometimes I can't even believe that I've done some of the things I've done in my career, or that like I would say yes to something like this. This used to
Yeah,
be the stuff my nightmares were made of, right? Where you were just asking me to talk about myself for an hour.
that's
But I think also like a workshop environment feels like a really intimate space, but you're also welcoming all these people from different paths of life, different age groups, different backgrounds, different values and political leanings.
yeah,
And I think more than teaching them your, curriculum or your teaching plan, it's about like managing everybody's goals and emotions
yeah,
too. And so it's a big undertaking to be someone that can guide people through a process and also manage a group dynamic and create an environment where there's respect and where there is room for creative growth. I just don't think people think about that enough when they enter those spaces. And especially if you're the teacher and you're not thinking about it enough, things can go sideways really quickly.
oh, really quick.
Like really, really quickly.
Yeah, I had one workshop, and it was like a week long, and everyone was really good, and there was just one lady that was kind of difficult and sort of demanding, and I think she kind of kept making it feel like I'm there like to work for her. Maybe she is because she's paying to be part of the class. I mean, like, you don't need to treat me like I owe you something. You know what I mean? Like this,
Yeah. Yeah. And
it got strange, and all I want is people to have
yeah.
fun. Like, what? Stop it.
I know, but especially at some of the places that we teach, the price point does invite like a more entitled audience, unless they have really good scholarship funding like Penland and Airmont and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you do get those problem students.
Problem
And
students.
I think
That's funny
that
'cause I was a
it
problem student my whole life.
well, you're just getting it back, I guess. Yeah. But, I think that everybody just really wants to be seen and heard. I think that's what it is more than anything. And some people just don't know how to express that in a group that's
Exactly.
appropriate.
Some people don't know how to make that happen a nice way for all parties involved.
Yeah. And there's ways that you can, I don't want to say manipulate, but there's ways that you can approach those situations that will completely change the whole dynamic and make everyone have just the most lovely time together, And I think it's
Yeah.
like growing up around workshops. And I say growing up just because ever since I got interested in clay in like high school, I started taking classes or going to workshops, and then it got more serious in college. So for the first 10 years that I was practicing clay before I went back to grad school or did anything like that and took a more serious step in that direction, I was partially trying to learn new techniques, but I was also really interested in people's teaching abilities and how they kind of managed a group. And I was maybe paying more attention to that in the later ones because I was formulating in my brain that I wanted a career like this and I wanted to be able to teach those things. And now being an administrator of workshops, I know for a fact that like you can have great art, but you can be a really bad teacher. And if you kind of have this bad student experience at an institution, you're not going to get invited back there. They won't tell you that.
Yeah,
They're just going to like quietly blacklist you.
yeah,
And then,
yeah, that's too funny. Yeah, and that's always scary because then you're like, well, did I do a good job? Did they like my workshop? They're like, yeah, you did. I'm like, no, seriously, like tell me so I could be a better teacher in the future, right?
yeah. And I always appreciate when they share those student evaluations just so that you can really get that kind of feedback because I think the institution doesn't always have that. They're not in your
Mhm.
class every minute of that week or 2 days or whatever.
Yeah, and how else are you supposed to fix those things in the future if nobody ever told you what you did wrong?
Oh, yeah. It's a giant learning curve. Like some of it's just trial and error. And I think even people that teach degree seeking classes, it's like that too. Sometimes you really are excited about an idea and the execution kind of falls flat.
Yeah,
Unless someone wants to give you some honest feedback, you're not going to know that. So,
and then there's those teachers that are just really good, fun, positive, and they make you want to go to class. Those people.
yeah.
I am attracted to those people, and I learn more from those people. I think
Yes.
because
Yeah.
they make it fun, even if it's something that's not fun.
Yeah. And
And
I'm
like you
not
said,
sure I'm one of those people, although I would like to be.
well, you can, like you said, you can be really good at your craft and make really nice pots, but you're just not the easiest person to that should teach those things.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
I some of those people know that. That's why they stay home in their studios. And some people,
Yeah. I could definitely get that from some people that I invite to teach. They're like, no, I just don't do that.
yeah.
Okay, good. That's good that
I
you
just
know.
had a buddy of mine was on the show the other day, and I asked him to be on the show like a year ago, and he's like, "No, it's not. That's not my thing. I'm kind of an introvert." And I said, "Oh, that's fine. That's cool. Whatever." And then he reached out the other day. He said, "You know what? I need to work on that. I want to be on your show." I said, "Okay, let's go next week." So we just, and I was honored that he wanted to come out of his shell with me. So
Yeah. Well, he probably feels safe with you, which is really sweet.
yeah, there you go. It's shoulders or no shoulders.
I kind of like it, but it disrupts the flow a little bit.
I was thinking of cutting them into like little
Maybe
handles.
smaller.
Okay, I'm gonna shave it. See, that's what I like. I need feedback.
We all need feedback to
You know, when
grow,
you're
you
in the
know?
studio, you're always by yourself, and you're like, "Do I like it? Do I not like it? I don't know." So there, it's more like a handle.
Yeah, no, and that's really what getting out into those different clay spaces. Ooh, I like the one with the negative space better.
Right, the negative space helps, but I got to do the whole thing first and then put them on later. A famous guy. John Gill.
Yes, I do. I met
John,
him one time.
you'll never
Don't.
forget meeting John Gill.
No, yeah,
Okay.
definitely a character. He's
Yeah.
one of those people you want to show up for.
Oh yeah, yeah. I talked to him about being on the show because I've known John for a long time, and he was like, "Yeah, I'd love to, Mike. I can't. I'm too busy." Okay.
Hmm.
But he said to me once, what did he say? Never fall in love with any pot you ever make, right? But he
Good
also said,
advice.
all ceramics is moisture management. He said, if you can control how fast it dries, you win. So, yeah. But he always said silly things like that.
Yeah. It's funny. I tell my students that, so that's pretty true, I think.
Once I kind of got back, I went to Alfred. I was a theater major at Alfred and did a bunch of plays and had some fun and found ceramics. And after getting into ceramics, I said to him, I said, I'm thinking about coming back to Alfred and getting a ceramics degree. And he said, why would you go to school to learn to make and sell ceramics? You're already making and selling ceramics. Thanks, John. Just saved me
Yeah,
$60,000.
as he's supposed to be recruiting for his
Yeah,
program.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
come here.
Don't waste your time. Oh man. Hey, cool. So yeah. So I liked what you said. I got a couple of questions. I was listening to you talk to Ben. I want to bite
Hmm.
off of Ben's podcast, but you said you like to make yourself uncomfortable. I think that's a great thing. I think more people need to do that.
Yeah, and I do that in all aspects of life, not just my clay practice. I think it's something that like I can't actually control it at this point. Like even if I want to just kind of be status quo, I get too
Yeah,
bored.
yeah,
So, I've moved a lot. That really does it. If I get too comfortable in a place, I'll start being a bit complacent and not really be as motivated to do things with my career or whatever it is. So, my husband and I have moved a lot just to put myself in new situations, which I think as a young, aspiring potter, you kind of need to because the opportunities are so nomadic.
yeah,
And, I did that to a certain degree, but my husband is not a clay artist. So there was like a limit in which we could do that together. And he could still keep his business jobs and not be bouncing around every couple of years because it's like the complete opposite in the business world. That looks really bad when
yeah,
you
yeah,
can't
yeah.
keep a
Why do you
job.
keep moving? Yeah,
But, I do feel very fortunate for all of those experiences and how they've built off each other and all the people I got to learn from. And then making my own space and kind of settling into more of a routine and a practice. And now I think I get some of that spontaneity from like traveling and doing shows or doing workshops or going to do my job in California in the summer and support other artists teaching workshops at Idlewild Arts. So I think it's just like this kind of life of extremes. Like I either am alone in my garage making work and not talking to anybody but the dog, and then I'm out for, weeks or months at a time and being very extroverted,
yeah,
promoting myself or teaching or doing something that gives a lot of creative energy to others. So
yeah.
I kind of like that push and pull, but I do need time to recharge in between because it can get to be a lot.
Yeah, I think comfort is kind of a privilege.
It is. Yeah, it really is. And I think we can all, like, if you are able to do this for a career, you probably have some level of comfort, right? You have some sort of family support. You might have a partner that has another job. You might have some inheritance. Gail Kendall came and taught one time out in California, and she's such a riot. She was like, "You show me a potter, I'll show you a trust fund." And she's not wrong necessarily.
That's too funny. I used to say, like, I think most of the successful people out there are professors,
Mm-hmm.
unlimited clay and unlimited firing abilities,
Yes,
and a
exactly.
studio, right?
Right.
Or like you said, somebody's paying your bills,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, or
Or you have another job and it's really not something that you promote or talk about. But the more I've gotten to know other artists that do what we do for a living, it's like, oh yeah, there's a, and then I do this,
yeah,
like,
or you're just flat out hustling.
yeah, which
There's that.
that's
There's that.
exhausting, but I give
Yes,
more power to people that can do that. I cannot
yes.
do that. I can't
Like the
make
people
work
that
at
do
that
that.
scale. I don't want to like be doing a different market every day. Like I just,
Oh,
part of taking on more administrative roles was so that I don't have to hustle quite as much, even
yeah,
though we all have to hustle, but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
give
yeah.
myself a bit of a break.
You said something on Ben's thing as well about making a run of cups. If I throw 12 cups, it's a lot.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'm done for the day, and it's 11:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Now I gotta go sit in the hot tub.
I know. I mean, those 12 cups are probably going to take me 2 weeks to finish. So.
Absolutely. When you do like your surface decoration, I do a lot of surface decoration. It's not just people are loving these big silly flowers.
Those are beautiful.
I like the I love the texture. I just love it. I like playing with depth, but when you're doing that type of decoration, it's like, and then when I go do a visiting artist or something and they want me to throw on the wheel and I'll throw a piece and I'll say, look, this is like 1/10 of the work that goes into this piece. This is
Hmm.
the easiest part. This is the fun part, right?
Right.
Throwing on the
Yeah.
wheel is great for an hour until your back starts to hurt and your hips can't take it anymore. Like,
Well,
yeah, I mean, if I do a dozen mugs, that's a busy day, which is like, yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine doing 50, 60 mugs and cranking them out and being a production potter.
I know. And I used to work for a production potter, so I got a very good taste of what that life was like. I thought I wanted it. And I was like, my body and mind are not cut out for this. And then, as I started figuring out my artistic sensibilities and my aesthetic and gravitating more towards decoration, and a lot of surface, I was like, I just can't, it's not where my priority lies to make quantity. It's more
Yes,
about the quality of the piece and the ideas behind them.
yeah,
But that
yeah,
doesn't always pay the bills, like you were saying. You have to hustle. You have to be making 100 mugs a month in order to survive that way just off of your work. So I really do have a lot of respect for people that do that.
and at the same time, you said something as well. Like, I don't want to make the same thing over and over again. Yeah, these are kind of fun to make, and people like them, and I'll do 10 and sell them. But I can't do that all day, every day.
No,
My
no. And
my
then
brain
it
wants
also,
wants to do this. Then this
right.
that takes all day. That's going to take me all day. I started that this morning.
Yeah. And then, I mean, all day plus some, right? You're not going to finish it today.
And that just making today, and then dry it, and then form it a little more tomorrow, and then biscuit and blah blah blah. And then
Yeah.
to get, I'd have to sell that for $350.
At least. I mean, come on.
Please.
That's
Yep.
like
And
more
then
like
it'll sit on my
500.
shelf until I can't take it anymore, and I'll sell for $80 3 years from now, because right. But I'll
Because you
sell
need
150.
space. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
This is
And then
why we have.
it's also something like you're not a machine, right? So the idea of you mass producing those mugs because they sell, that's a great thought, but the application of it might not work out that way, or there might not be as much demand for those things as it seems, or if you actually start raising your prices to then get the work out of it, the labor out of it, then they might not sell that much. One of the galleries that I work with actually told me that you want your price point to be just slightly above where it's going to sell out overnight, because if it's selling out immediately, your prices are too low,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Unless you're like a rock star and just everything sells all the time that you put out, right?
Yeah.
Like, but
It's another thing we were talking about, the trust fund type thing. Then you get those people that they post their thing and boom, within 5 minutes they sold every mug they put up for $130 a mug. And I'm like,
mm-hmm.
okay, yeah. Like how and why? I mean, yeah, your mugs are awesome. They're cool. I love them, but gosh darn, how do you sell them out so fast?
Well, I mean, I think it's also you have to be really good at marketing and photographing and creating demand and desire for things. I question a lot of the times if I knew how much actually went into this career, if I would have made the same decisions. I'm pretty stubborn, so probably, but I just didn't, as a young student, like if someone had told me, oh, if you're a full time artist, you're never going to stop applying to things, I might have been like, oh, never mind. I'll go work at a corporate company. Like
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop applying for different applications, grants, like I think you think college is over, grad school's over, you don't have to apply for things anymore. That's like not how our world works.
No.
You're constantly having to put yourself out there, and that is like a vulnerable place to be for eternity or however long you want to keep doing this. So
Yeah, which is interesting too for most artists and potters. They're sort of introverted and they want to just be alone in their studio with the music on and the bed full of clay. But you have to put yourself out there, right? So it's
yeah.
like, why are we doing this to ourselves? Like 6 months a year, I run a golf course. I've been a golf pro for 20 years, so I am in people's faces all day, every day, behind the counter, talking to people, and it's fun for me because I've been doing it for so long. It's easy,
Mm-hmm.
But I think I kind of all I want to do is this,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I start to get resentful, especially as I get older. I'm like, I gotta go to work. People just pay me just to be me.
I mean, I used to say that all the time
Really?
until I think my partner was like, please stop saying that.
Yeah, get
But
a job.
he was like, you're not Paris Hilton. No one's going to pay you just to be you.
Why not? Darn it. Well, yeah, you're
And,
not Paris.
before her, that really wasn't that much of a thing where you just got paid to be a personality or a brand like that and didn't really have like a talent stream backing it up. Not that she's not talented, but she's
Which
a
you can do
genius
now.
for introducing that to our culture, quite honestly.
Paris
But
Hilton.
yeah, yes, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, she's really like the one that
yeah, started
invented
it
the
all.
influencer.
Yeah, yeah, and she's gone now. Like you don't see her much at all anymore.
I mean, she's got a family now. She's living her life, She
She's a
kind of did
Hilton.
it the right
Doesn't much
way. She's a
matter,
Hilton.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a
But
buddy
yeah,
who's
I think it's interesting, like you said, like we all do want to just make the work, but I think if we got the chance to do that, it honestly wouldn't be enough because you need the feedback and some validation to keep going,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
if
yeah.
it becomes so insular, you might get bored. You might answer all your questions, or you might not have those critical discussions that give you new thoughts or new questions. So, as much as I want to say that I could just be in my vacuum and let's say, like how it used to be, where you didn't need to put yourself out there so much and there wasn't as much competition, like some of the old timers, that I've learned from are like, I could just make pots and
Well,
bring them to
yeah,
a market and they'd sell and
that's your name.
whatever,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah.
it's just not like that anymore. And I wonder if, I don't know. I mean, that's not a reality, I know. So I wonder
Mhm.
if it would be easier or better. I'm sure it comes with its own things, its own
Yeah,
considerations too.
and then, for me, I think I'm a lot like you. No matter what I do, I kind of get bored. I have to continually get better at what I'm doing or whatever
Hmm.
situation I'm in. If I'm not able to better the situation I'm in, then I got to find something else to do because it,
Yeah, yeah.
it gives me purpose. I think I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think like striving towards a goal, growing, that can give you a huge sense of purpose. And a few years ago, someone introduced me to the idea of a legacy project. And for a
Hmm.
lot of people, that is their children. That's, they pass that on through their family, their kids, their accomplishments,
Hmm.
whatever that is. I think for artists, that is the work, the objects, the
Sure.
creative property that we put out into the world. And yeah, I mean, it's great to hit on something that sells well, but it can be kind of soul sucking when you then have to make that instead of being able to like pivot or grow, or when your audience starts to expect it or a gallery starts to expect it. And, I think it's very hard to then break out of that. And I
Yeah,
give a
once
lot of
you're in, you're
credit to
in.
some people. Yeah, I give a lot of credit to some people that are just like, wow, I'm like done with this idea, this body of work. And then they just move on. And it's a scary place to be.
That's doable. Yeah, I think that's doable if your name is big enough.
Yes, I think it is
Or
too. And I
like, oh,
think
I'm just
that,
going to do this now because my name is such and such.
hmm
I'm glad that
but
worked.
I see people that don't have big names doing it. And I think it's just like I mean, you really just want
I
to continue to grow as a person, right? As an artist. So,
My work does that on its own because I can't. You know what I mean? I can't. I, I'm just all over the place. I think that's why clay. Like we talked. Let me go back a little bit. We talked about like I have to feel like I'm progressing. And I think that's
hmm
why I love clay because it's never ending.
yeah. And it's humbling. So
It's
even when you
very.
figured it out, something's going to go wrong and you're going to have to figure it out again.
That's what I tell my students when I teach golf. I say, when you think you got it, you don't got it.
Yeah, no.
You're close. It's just
Yeah.
you're not going to get it. But yeah, so that's what I love about clay is it's never ending. But I did the Flower City Pottery Invitational up in Rochester.
Nice. How'd
Yeah,
that go?
it was nice to be. Well, gosh, it was really nice to be invited to be a because I used to go to I
Yeah.
went to that when John Gill was in it, and I was like, oh my god, his mugs were
Back in the day or this
$4
year?
and 12 years
That was
ago.
back 12 years ago. Oh my
Yep.
God.
Wow. Okay. Well, they're John Gills though, right? Like we just talked about.
Yeah.
If your name's big
Right.
enough, you charge whatever you want. And
Yeah.
I might buy one because I'll have it on my shelf, and but
I know. And it's so precious at that point, right? And I'm not, I don't know if I don't think I have a big enough name to do that. So I don't know if I should be speaking to it. But part of me wants my work to be used. That's why I make functional work, or a big part of me, right? Having a $400 or $500 mug, it's going to sit on a shelf. It
yeah,
feels too precious to use it. They
yeah.
don't want those kind of marks of time on it, whether that's a crack or a chip or something like that, or discoloration from coffee. Nice. Oh no,
So that's Sam Riegel. Do you know Sam?
I do. I actually just met her
She's
at
the sweetest.
APF. She's really lovely.
She's sweet. She was at Flower City Invitational as well. She made
Is
this
that
one.
where you got that?
No, she was.
Oh, okay.
Well, she was on the podcast last year, and this is
Okay.
the cup she made while we chatted.
Oh, so she
So
sent it
I
to
was
you?
like, yeah, well, we usually swap mugs at the end of the show. Usually I'm like, let's swap them up. So I said to her, I
Nice.
said, I want that one. Right.
Yeah.
And she said, well, I'll sell it to you. I was like, okay. So I bought it and that's fine.
Yeah.
But my stepson was throwing the ball around the kitchen and it fell like within a week.
Man.
Like, dude, I'm not mad. I'm very upset.
Yeah, I
that's,
know. It is
that's fun. It's just
such a
beautiful.
mood ruiner. Yeah. We break a lot of pots in my house and I get really upset. I'm not going to say I don't,
Mhm.
I kind of shut down actually. It's like losing like I don't know, a really treasured thing, but it's also an opportunity to buy something else because our house is really small. Try to look at it that way. A lot of things like Sam, she's still making mugs like that. There's been a couple of things that got broken where the artist had passed away or something, and those are the ones that like really
Yeah.
just like
You're like,
hit
oh,
home so
yeah.
hard because you're like, I can't do anything about that.
Yeah. I actually went to go pick up work at a gallery the other day. Stuff that had been sitting there. She said, bring me some new stuff. So I went and swapped it out. And they had two pots on the shelf. And I said, that lady passed away. And she's like, oh, really? I said, yeah, you should either not sell those or send them back to her family or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were beautiful too. She was a sweet lady, Brooke.
Oh.
So moving on. Oh, so Matt Long, you just mentioned. You knew Matt, didn't you?
I kind of know of Matt. I went to UF and he was like a teaching technician back in the day there, which I think that position has changed. It's like doesn't teach anymore, but I was using his soda kiln for a while because I used
Mhm.
to soda fire And when I
Hmm.
first got to grad school, I still was. And the kiln was in really bad shape. So we rebuilt it. So I, tore down his kiln and rebuilt it.
That's a lot of
And yeah, but I don't know that I've ever actually like met him directly.
work.
Um,
He,
but just have like friends in common and stuff, probably.
I heard him once years ago on like a YouTube video, something saying, he said, I want people to use my mug and then throw it on the floor of the pickup truck.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's a mug. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somebody, someone special, might be slightly famous, made it. It's still a mug, right?
Hmm.
Like, use it, please.
Yeah.
Right?
I
I'll make you
mean,
another one. I'll make you
right.
two. I just shipped something to a lady. She bought like a ewer, actually a
Hmm.
pouring vessel for olive
Hmm.
oil, and it showed up broken. And that's like only the second time that's ever happened to me.
Man,
So she was like, "Oh no, it broke." And I said, "I'll just make you another one.
you're
Just,
nice.
I'll just ship you another one. Like whatever, it is what it is." I said, "Or if you see something, if I post something you like, let me know. I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. I like doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And that customer service is really important,
yeah,
which you probably have a good sense of running your golf business.
yeah. I had a couple of guys last year. I look out the pro shop window, and it's number 9 green. And I know a couple of guys just went into the bar that were making the turn to go to 10. And I knew they were slow. So I ran out to number 9 green. The guys were putting on the green. I said, fellas, go into the restaurant. I'll buy you a free beer and buy you a hot dog. Each one of you gets a beer and a hot dog because you got to sit for 10 minutes because those guys are slow. And they
Mm,
were like, thanks so much. Right. And what did it cost us? $4?
yeah,
You
no.
know, and then,
Yeah. And that means so much to them too. My dad owned restaurants. I grew up in them. So I saw a lot of that kind of how you just be kind to people and give them just a little bit of comfort and then their whole attitude changes.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
there's always things you can't control. There's always slow people or unexpected
yeah.
whatever.
Kindness doesn't cost anything. Right.
No.
No.
It seems really expensive these days the way people don't
Ugh.
use it, but it shouldn't be.
No, oh gosh, kindness is kind of the commodity. I think these days it's like,
It really is, and that is a sad thing to say because I think people used to be a lot more generous when it
isn't
came
that
to
weird?
kindness.
I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think social media simultaneously made the world better and worse at the same time. I think the internet did that actually.
I 100% agree with that. It's like giving us all these technological advances and making life easy and more comfortable. It's
Mhm.
also making us lazy and more self-important and a little
Yeah,
bit dumber and
well, yeah, absolutely.
probably like a billion other things and mentally ill. Like I really worry about that. I very much think that my like having to do social media for my job really negatively impacts my mental well-being and I'm trying to figure out how to strike a better balance with that, but I just do not know how to do that and still participate in it as much as I need to for my business.
Yeah, I
And if
heard
you have any ideas about that, I'd love to hear them.
the only way is to turn it off. It's just,
Yes, but then you just have to do it again, and you have to keep feeding the machine or it just keeps punishing you for not being on it enough. Like I mean, the way that it's built is to be addictive. So
oh yeah.
there's
I
really
was,
no like, okay,
I
I
was,
turned it off for a little bit and then it gives you that dopamine hit and you're right back in it, like
I was scrolling away the other day, and it was nothing but pure negativity. Like, this person getting beat up in a parking lot, and this person, I'm like,
uh,
why? I mean, this is supposed to be like the good parts of life.
yeah.
Like there should be like an Instagram, but it's nothing but people doing good things for other
I
people.
mean, yeah, I think it was before it got bought out, it was just people sharing photos of their lives. I miss that. And it wasn't just a giant marketing tool like it
Yeah.
is now.
I tell my kids, I say, I think social media kills conversation, right?
Exactly. Yes, it
Because
does.
I already know your kids won the soccer game the other day. And I'll see you and I want to go, hey, what have you been up to? And you go, oh, my kids won the soccer thing. I already know. You posted.
Yeah.
I know what you had for dinner
Yeah.
last night.
Yeah. On the reverse side of that, though, to say something positive, because we're
We're on
trending
it.
towards the negative. It is nice how people that I've known from my past that I might not keep up with on a daily basis feel very connected to me through watching me make work and feel like we still have kind of this dynamic. I would say maybe I don't always feel that because they're not like sharing as much online, right? But like I kind of have a place in their minds or their lives still, and sometimes I don't even realize that till I see them in person. Like and just hearing them be like, "Oh, it's just so nice to watch you work and it's like a nice little mental break in the day and to see what
Yeah.
you're doing and that you're still doing it after all these years. That's really inspiring." So, and also, connecting people. Like I used to work for that production pottery back when I was in college, basically.
Mhm.
And the son reached out to me a number of years ago because he just randomly found me on his feed,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah.
So there are some really lovely moments on there, and that keeps me from wanting to jump ship altogether. But
Yeah.
there's a lot, like you said, there's a lot of just like noise, and there's a lot of like, oh, well, I already know what you did last week, so I'm not going to call you and ask you. Like I absorbed it in a 30-second video. I don't need to have a 20-minute
Yeah.
conversation with you.
Yeah. Yeah. My buddies, they're all like, they all say, "What are you doing? Playing with your putty? You're playing whatever." They don't get it, And then
Yeah.
I'll show them what they make, and they go, "Oh, holy crap, dude, that's really good." I'm like, what do you think I've been doing all these years? Like, they don't get it.
Yeah, it has done a lot to educate people though because it's there. They can see it. Someone asked me the other day, we were out shopping, Christmas shopping at this really nice men's store in Portland, and he asked me what I did for a living and I said I'm a potter. Immediately he knew what that was.
Really?
10 years ago, or let's say 15 years ago now, when I was living in San Diego, I used to say that to people and they were like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I was just like, I'm a server at a restaurant downtown. Like that was my stock answer because nobody, or if I said I was an artist, they were like, oh, you paint? That's so lovely. Like,
No.
so it's nice that there's this like general knowledge of it now, but
Yeah,
it's,
that's true. That it has brought light to the ceramics world, so that is very good.
yes. Yeah.
San Diego's great, isn't it? I was stationed out
Wow, yeah, no, we loved San Diego. I wish we still lived there in some ways, but it's so expensive.
there. Yeah,
That was like pre grad school for a few years,
I
which was
saw
nice.
a comedian. He said the easiest job in the world has to be the weatherman in San Diego. What's it like today? Nice. Back to you.
Yeah. Although it's kind of starting to rain more down there now, so that's actually good. They need it, but not always the sunny and 70 that I remember when living
Yeah, oh yeah,
there.
when I was there, it was 7 every day. I was like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful.
Uh, yeah. I mean, nowhere even had heating or air. Like no dwelling had that. Now they're
Yeah,
having to outfit it.
that's interesting. The dichotomy of the places I was stationed. I was stationed in Keflavik, Iceland. So it's like,
Oh my gosh.
gosh, yeah, it's a little different than seeing. You know what's funny? I landed in the plane and I'm taxiing down the runway. I look out that little plane window and
Mhm.
it looked like the surface of the moon, like because it's all lava rock. And I
Oh
was like,
yeah.
I just remember thinking, what did I get myself into? Like, this is gonna suck.
When
It
can
was
I
so
leave?
yes, turn it around. Yeah, they're like, nope. Yeah. Ugh, 2 years, 2 years, 14 days, 6 hours, and 20 minutes.
Oh, you weren't keeping track at all.
The 20 minutes was because we had to sit on the run. We had to go back and refuel. I'm like, just can we get out of here? It's
Oh
terrible.
my.
It was beautiful. Don't get me wrong. If you're Icelandic, I apologize. It was a
No,
beautiful,
no,
beautiful
I'm
trip.
not.
No, I mean anybody watching.
Yeah, no, and I cold. I don't know how people do cold, so I'm right there with you.
It was very cold, and it was also the windiest place I've ever been in my life. You taught your. I was listening to. So I want to talk about with Idlewild for a little while because
Yeah,
that's
sure.
really cool. It sounds like the coolest place in the world. But you taught with Sunshine Cobb. I heard you say on Ben's show.
So I was her assistant. That was my first time there. I think it was 2013, was right before I was headed off to grad school. She was like a pretty new artist on the scene. She had graduated from Utah. She was at the Bray, but she was not a household name by any means. There were
Mm.
3 people in her workshop, I believe.
Oh, wow.
And I just got paired to assist her. And it was a really great experience. It introduced me to Idlewild. Back then, Richard Burkett did my position as the program coordinator,
Mhm.
and he was teaching full time at San Diego State. So it was kind of an unofficial part of his contract that he brought his students, or I was like a volunteer tech there working on my portfolio between undergrad and grad school. And he would give us these opportunities to assist or work in the studio during the summer. And yeah, I mean, I just fell in love with the place. I had been to Penland, I had been to some other craft schools. I always liked that vibe of being around a lot of creative people. I didn't know about this place in Idlewild, California, which is above Palm Springs, until I was basically leaving the area. So he invited me to come and assist, and then I had a really fabulous week. It's a little bit different of a craft school because, well, we started out as a craft school 80 years ago. We're about to celebrate our 80th anniversary.
Yep.
And it was originally for adults that wanted to come do some creative arts, mainly people that were veterans with PTSD. So almost like art therapy.
Mhm.
And then it kind of opened up into being more of a summer program for all ages. And in 1980, it became a high school as well. So now during the academic year, there are students that come from all over the world. It's a pretty international body that goes to school there for the academy. And we are a performing and visual arts high school. And we're much more about music and theater actually than we are visual arts.
Mhm.
But in the summer, we go back to our roots and we have camps for ages 4 and up. During June, we do adult workshops, and those are include clay, metals, writing, a lot of native arts, which that's the one thing that really sets us apart. We are on Kauai land. We
Okay.
have a native arts director, and we have a huge native arts program, as well as a lot of scholarships for native artists to come and attend the academy, or
Neat.
for people to come and take summer workshops from native artists. So I just kind of fell in love with this idea of like utilizing the land in some of the ways that it has been forever. Like a lot of the native people that lived in the desert, because it was too hot during the summer, they would come up to Idlewild and summer there basically. And
Okay.
like we're all doing a version of that, and there's this really great community that comes back and takes workshops, or like the native artists that we get to teach, they teach every year. Some of them have been teaching there for 26, 30 years.
Oh, wow.
The hot clay program that I run is a little bit different. I think this is our 33rd or 34th year. I can't
Wow.
remember which one coming up.
Yeah.
This is my 6th year running the program.
Mhm.
And we kind of stylize them a little more off of like the other craft schools where we're getting different artists to come teach every year. We have a really great core group of students that come from San Diego and LA. So they want to see like a new schedule every year, right? So we have 8 artists that come teach over 3 weeks in June. They're usually week long. This next summer, we're going to have a 2 week and a 3 day. We're mixing it up a bit. But, I basically every year in grad school in Florida, I was like, can I please come back and assist? One, to get the hell out of Florida in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And two, just because I loved it there so much. And I also had made friends with like all of the theater techs and the photographer and all of the staff that would come there. And I realized that, like a lot of private institutions or craft schools, kids had gone there as campers, and then they came back as counselors, and then they came back to work as assistants or teachers. And so there was this really lovely continuing community. And that's kind of what I fell in love with at first. And also just to go work with Richard every summer. He's definitely one of my mentors. So it was nice to go back and assist. And finally in 20, he was like, I'm ready to move on. He had retired from San Diego State. I think he thought he would continue that position, but he got a taste of freedom and was like, I'm out, like I
Yeah.
don't like, no, thank you. I want to go do things in June and not be here every year. Um, and yeah, he was the second coordinator. Ingrid Lilligren was the one that founded the program
Yeah.
in the 90s. And so we've really kept things pretty true to her vision, and we've had people show up for it. And I get to introduce artists that come out to teach to the area, to the high desert, to kind of like everything that we offer in terms of Native arts performances and all these things that you can't get at other craft schools. And I just love having a place to create community, especially since I don't want to teach full time. It really like kind of ticks that box, like I get to mentor young artists that come and assist. I get to give some young artists that haven't had teaching opportunities like that a chance to come and teach and build their resume as workshop instructors. I get to hire some rock stars that I get to fangirl over and just watch them work all week. And it's been really positive for my career too, because it gives me kind of this network of people that get to know me as a person, as an artist, and I get opportunities from that. So
Yes.
it really feels like this wonderful synergy between my career and like an administrative job. And there's so many people that do that full time at craft schools that stop making work, right? Because it's hard to do both. So it's nice that I just have to be on site just in June and I still get to do my own thing the rest of the year.
Yeah, that's great.
And it's like, it's not a full-time job by any means, but I kind of love that about it. I Since I took it over in 2020, I got to reshape it a bit too and start doing some things that felt more genuine to the time and the place that we're in these days.
I didn't know that about the Native American art part of that. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
The keynote speaker at NCECA a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm. Rose, what's her name?
Yes,
Rose.
she was like from New Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With
And her
cars.
mom has taught there before.
Really?
Long time ago. Mm-hmm.
Dude, her I don't know if were you at that NCECA?
I was, and I thought that was so beautiful that they had her mom do the opening and she did
Yeah.
the closing, and they were both some of the best talks I've seen
It was honestly
there.
emotionally moving.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
was like,
she's an amazing person and
I didn't think
artist.
I would feel that way. And then she was making those pillars of women and putting them by
Mm-hmm.
the water where the
Mm-hmm.
girls were gone, the girls were lost. I was like, oh my God. But her work was amazing. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's so good. And the lowrider stuff. Yeah. The Native Arts Director and I, Shalia Ben, have talked about trying to get them to come teach together in the same week, or like one in the Native Arts, one in hot clay or something, but
Yeah, the
it's been hard to
lowrider.
get.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Lowrider was really cool. Yeah, if you need someone to teach, let me know. I love teaching workshops.
I'm always recruiting. People are probably annoyed with me every time I like leave my studio. I'm like, hey, you know what I do in the summer? You should come too.
The hard part for me is it's in the summer. Uh, I'm at the golf course 7 days a week. It sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
That
the
does,
older I get,
scheduling gets to be a thing.
the more I'm just making more pots.
Yeah.
I'm 50. I'll be 55 in 2 weeks, and I'm like, gosh, I don't want to work till I'm 70. I don't want to be that guy. I want to. I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out. I got 8 more years into me before I start going nuts.
You don't think you'll just do it for enjoyment after that?
I want to do
Like the
that.
clay stuff at least?
I will. Yeah, the clay.
Oh, okay.
I can't stand up anymore. That's
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
the problem is that's what I want to do now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the golf is kind of getting in my way.
Yeah. Yeah, it can feel like that. The jobs that support you feel like they're taking away time from the things you actually want to do. I've been
Well,
asking myself a lot of those questions lately, like the longevity of this career and how to stay in it, both financially, and my body is starting to not cooperate so much.
Michael Hall was telling me about when you get a bag of clay and it's kind of when it comes fresh out of the box, you throw it on the ground a bunch of times. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Rather than cutting a piece and wedging the hell out of it, just throw it. And I did that
Yeah.
twice. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a 25-pound bag.
Yeah. Oh, I do that too. Yeah. And I stand up now. I mean, I have like a bad hip basically from throwing that I've had since I was 35. It got me young.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was 2 years ago. What are you talking about?
It was like 4, but yeah.
Okay, my wheel is up. I made it stand up a couple years ago. I did a throwing session of 15, 20 mugs, and I was like, ow.
Right.
What was that? It's like getting out of the car after 10 hours of driving.
I know. It's really I've had to like completely re-engineer my practice and the way that I work in a day because it was like stop using the wheel basically. It was causing me that much pain. So
Mm, yeah.
it's nice that I form work other ways, but it's also making me more thoughtful about what I do in here, when I do it, how I do it, and like how much work I'm putting out into the world because I don't want, if you're not healthy, you can't make work. So,
Yeah. Naomi Clement said it the best. She said, I make good work when I'm well fed.
yeah, I've heard that quote of hers before. Yeah, I mean really, like that's the other thing, right? Like you sit in here, you make stuff, you don't know if it's going to feed your belly through your bank account. So, you got to have a lot of other things going on first before that
Yeah, yeah.
make it all work.
I want to circle back around to your work real quick, but I want
Mhm.
to say we were talking about Idlewild and the community. I always go back to Aramon because I have so much fun there. I went to Pentaculum there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I've been there twice to Pentaculum. I've been to Airmont a lot, but
I
two
love
of
it.
the Pentaculums, yeah.
They actually like had a job posting. Maybe it was last year, I think. And I was like, man,
Hmm.
if I didn't have three kids, I would just move down there and work at Aramon.
Yeah.
I never go downtown. I always go that way. Like I never go that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
There's that back entrance.
Yeah.
I never go near the front gate. 'Cause I made that mistake the first time I was there. And I was like, yep, not going down there.
I kind of actually love like it's a carnival in the mountains. It's so different than all the other craft schools. Like the juxtaposition of like this dreamy mountain town where creatives go to get away and then
And,
just being
yeah.
like hit in the face with moonshine and funnel cake and old-timey photos. I'm like it's just lovely these things exist right next to each other.
Oh, that's hilarious. And it is. I call it the eye of the storm
Yeah.
because there's a beautiful, quiet little, art school right in the middle of mayhem, depending on what days you're there. But there's almost always something going on. I saw a video on Instagram the other day of a bear walking down the street, right down the middle of the street. People are like filming it. It's a 400 pound
Yeah.
bear. I almost bumped into one last time I was there. I came around the corner. I was
My
like, oh
gosh.
gosh, he was like right there.
Yeah.
But speaking
Wildlife.
of your work, I'm attracted to your work because I love. You've seen my stuff. I love color. I like to play with color, and there's just so many options. I mean, you had said something. Where was it? I wrote it down about like creating. We talked about earlier about creating a canvas, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes I don't know if you find this. I'll create a canvas. Like I made this big platter for a friend of mine the other day, but
Hmm.
now it's like now I look at it and I go, crap. Like now I got. What am I going to put on that?
Hmm.
Because now when you make a big piece, you want it to come out. You know what I mean? I think you want it to be
Good.
big,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
then it makes it harder to decide what you're going to put on.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the most indecisive person in the world. So, I think a lot of the times when I'm forming pieces now, because I've worked this way for so long, I'm conceptualizing the surfaces as I'm forming. Otherwise, it gets to this point where I'm completely overwhelmed by the blank space in front of me.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Especially, when there's so many different, like you use paper cutting and you use stencils. And I used to
Hmm.
use, I'm a terra sigillata guy. And I mean, terra sigillata and underglazes. And then some, it's like,
No,
do
I
you,
know. And it's so layered, right? So there's this order of operations that you have to think about. A lot of the times when I teach workshops and I give them all these kind of skills that they can build on, I'm like, okay, so my job for the rest of the workshop is just to figure out how to best execute your ideas. I'll just use my prior knowledge and we can figure out like because you could probably do it 10 different ways, right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
it might not be the most efficient thing. It certainly isn't the first time you make it anyway. You're kind of
no,
like working your way through it. But yeah, I think bigger work does really throw me for a loop on decorating, which is why I don't tend to make anything huge, huge.
Well, I tell people like what you said with the depth and the layering is you almost have to think in reverse, right? Like
Yes.
you want, your last color needs to be your first color, right? Then you need to cover that with paper or stencils and then paint around that and then cover that with a stencil and then, and
Hmm.
then you have the depth of surface rather than just having at it. Like I went and got a Cricut last year. You ever use a Cricut? Do you use a Cricut?
I don't personally, but I have used them before in different studios and stuff.
It's
It depends on the model, I think. They can be good or they can be pretty,
yeah,
I don't
it's
know.
It's a rabbit hole I didn't really want to go down. I was always told that like if you wanted to make texture, you had to make your own. Like so I always made just like I would just make hand carved texture rollers. Just
Oh,
because
yeah.
I think that gives it a little bit more character too when your
Yeah.
texture's off.
Right.
I like when my pots are a little bit off. I think that makes them real.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like stamped out. So I didn't want to do that for the longest time, and then I got one off some lady off of Facebook Marketplace for like $75, and I was like, sure, why
Best
not?
way to get them.
Yeah. 'Cause then if I don't like it, it doesn't much matter, right?
Yeah.
I started
I
making
tell all
just
my students that so many people buy them and don't realize the learning curve. So you can find some like brand new machines on the secondary market, basically.
well, the learning curve is kind of like the surface thing we were just talking about. There's a billion options. Like I was looking for some sort of thing to do the other day. What did I do? I did this bowl. I did a little lollipop. I don't know if you can see it.
Nice.
Right? Like I gotta do a lollipop. So I did a couple of mugs with lollipops on them. But if you're like looking for some sort of image, my God, you could be there for a month.
Yeah. I mean, I'm glad that I learned that when I was in grad school. So I had the time to just play around and not feel like I had to be producing
Hmm.
to make a living. But yeah, I think it was like all the brown from the soda firing and the wood firing. It was a reaction to that, right? Coming to color and pattern.
Yeah.
That Matt Long kiln, was broken. I was rebuilding it, but I had deadlines in between. I had to keep making work. And so I started making experiments on test tiles, basically, just treating them like paper because Linda Arbuckle, my professor, who's a genius in my mind, was like, you don't even know what you're doing yet. You just need to divorce yourself from form. You need to figure out this language, your color, your imagery. And she gave me the permission to just do that for a full semester and not actually make forms and kind of try to marry the two. And I know most people don't have that much time to slow down, but I was like learning the machine. I was trying this whole new way of working. And then I also didn't really have like a strong form language back then. So taking the form out of the equation was so powerful, so
Yeah.
impactful. And I
Yeah.
just figured out 2D versions of what I wanted to communicate. And then I could like go to the next step after that. I think that's something that I really try to teach in my workshops or when I teach college. I'm like, you see someone like me or you that's been making work for decades and you think that we sat down and figured all that out in an afternoon? Like, absolutely not. This is something that builds on itself year after year after year after year. And my mug, for example, it's taken me 15 years to figure those out. Now they're refined, they're great. It's basically the surface that has new ideas or room for growth. It took me a really long time to figure out all those skills that made that mug.
You know,
And I'm such a slow growth kind of potter too. I feel like I'm like an arthritic dog sometimes. I just make these really slow, calculated movements in the right direction, but I'm not really going anywhere very fast.
that's a great
But I
analogy.
am growing. I am trying. It's just not. And I think it's so amazing when people can just like do a whole new body of work in 2 months, but that is not me. That's not how
Yeah. It's
I do
funny.
anything.
I went to pick up, like I said, I picked up a couple of pots from the gallery 2 towns over that has been sitting there 2 years or so, and they gave me a couple of them, and I'm like, oh God, they're so 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I made that and I gave that to you. It's terrible. It's like 2 years ago. It's
But I mean, you could also look at it as just like how much you've grown since then, because there's a lot of people that are probably making the same pot they made 2 years ago. And that's like perfectly okay with them. And it's okay
yeah.
with me too if they're happy with that. But
One thing
I get bored after like 2 weeks.
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. One thing I like about underglaze and terracige is that I know what's coming out of the kiln.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I put it in and I underglaze it and I put a little clear on it, I know exactly how that's going to look. It's not like you open the kiln and you go, God, what a waste of a week, or a
Yeah.
glaze is just terrible.
Yeah. And I think the electric firing helps that too. It's not as much of an
Yeah,
atmosphere in there, but
yeah,
those stable materials really do help
yeah.
to
Beep.
define your ideas and not have to material test so much.
I was talking to someone the other day that was actually going the other way, which I don't hear a lot lately. I hear a lot of people that were cone 10, cone 8 firers that are working down to cone 6 electric, which
Hmm.
makes sense. It's so simple, especially now you can get more and more sort of atmospheric results.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I actually was talking to somebody. I'm like, why would you go the other way? I don't. You don't hear a lot of people going towards 10 as much anymore. I don't.
Yeah. I saw somebody that I don't know him personally. He lived in Portland, moved to Palm Springs, and has been going up in temperature to 10. There's a studio down there called Silica Studios, and they still do cone 10 though. I think if you have reasons to be at cone 10, it's
Yeah,
great.
why not? Yeah,
Like, I think you just need an intention. You need to set that intention. If your intention is like color, cone 10 is not where you want to be. And that's like what I had to figure out in grad school because I was kind of stubborn because I've been making work long enough to be from the camp of like, if you don't do cone 10, if you don't mix your own clay, you're not a real potter, kind of that
mhm.
bullshit that I'm trying to grow out of. And so it was really hard for me to be like, well, I'm going to go down in temperature, like that was a really hard thing to put, just like wrap my mind around. But I had goals, and cone 10 and my goals were just completely butting heads. So there was absolutely no reason to keep doing that. And I just really love the advice I got from Linda in that moment because most people in grad school, I think their mentors would say, do the cone 10, you're here, you have the facilities, right?
Sure.
She was like, what do you want for your life outside of here? And I said, well, I want to move back to the West Coast. I want to be in a populated area. I like music and art and good beer and good food. Like, I'm not going to live in the middle of nowhere. That's never really where I've thrived or wanted to be. And she said, well, you don't sound like a soda fired potter to me. You sound like someone that needs an electric kiln, and you better use the rest of your time in school to figure out how to get some good results out of an electric kiln and stop messing with these gas kilns. And I was like,
Yes.
oh my god, you're
Yeah.
so right, because
That's
I
amazing.
live in a neighborhood. I can't have a gas kiln here.
Your neighbors would be pissed. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, my neighbors are on top of me, so they
I, that
they would
that
be
is
more than
amazing advice.
pissed.
Amazing advice, especially from a professor. So kudos to Linda.
Yeah,
That's
I
huge.
mean, she really was like, you need to figure out how to keep making work for the long game, not just what you're going to do while you have access to all this stuff. Because she knew I was like kind of wishy washy about wanting to be a professor at that point, even though I thought I wanted to be one when I went into school. She was just like, you need to figure out how to make good work and how you can afford to do that. Right. And I mean, that advice was just so eye
Yeah,
opening to me. I was
I
like,
wish
yeah,
I
you're
had.
right.
I wish I had someone say that to me. I was at a pottery a community studio for about 5 years, and they had one of those huge gas kilns that it took 400 pots to fill, and you had the all the bricks were numbered to put the door back together.
Hmm.
You're back there freezing your ass off, loading the kiln and wadding each pot, which
Oh my
is which
gosh.
is fun, right? Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
it's fun when it's a community, but
Yeah.
again, it wasn't the surface that I was looking for. It was brown, it was drab, it was like, nah, but nobody ever told me, hey, if that's not you, go do you. I
Hmm.
just found out by chance years later after getting my own space in an electric kiln that I could kind of do whatever I wanted. I felt like I'm like, why do my pots they're so boring? Like, why are they so boring? I remember using latex resist to
Hmm.
trying to get some depth in different glazes. Yeah, I just learned the hard way. I just learned by doing it
I
wrong.
mean, I think it was the time too, right? Like even when she gave me that advice, what, like 9 years ago or 11 years ago at this point, I don't think that was a very common thing for students to be told. It was more like you have access to these big gas kilns, you know how to fire them. Keep going,
Yeah,
Like,
a place for it.
uh, yeah, you're not paying for this out of pocket right now, like other than paying your tuition or whatever. Which fortunately I had a offer to go there, so I wasn't really paying for anything.
Yeah, but you built a salt kiln. You say you rebuilt Matt's kiln.
I've built a couple. I continue to rebuild kilns even though I have nothing to do with that world anymore. We just built one at Idlewild a couple summers ago.
So good question then, because if you do a hard brick kiln that's got
Hmm.
10 cubic feet, and a big giant chimney. It's like $30,000.
Oh God, I don't even know. You know, it's been we built that kiln at Florida Hard Brick, but we used seconds because of the budget. That was such a hard undertaking because none of them were perfect.
Yeah, yeah,
And we mortared that kiln, and you know, that's not
yeah.
always the best thing. I've also been along helping to build some other kilns with Richard where I haven't been fully a part of the whole process. But the one we just rebuilt at Idlewild is actually a soft brick kiln. So even that, you know, I don't have the budget in front of me. I actually, for that kiln, I took a much more administrative role.
Hmm.
I petitioned the school to rebuild it, you know, got some funding, had to source all the materials, had to be the project manager basically, right? Like work with our facilities people to figure out gas line stuff and then order all the parts. And I thought I would help build it, and I didn't touch anything. Like they let me sign the wall before they bricked it up, which I thought was really nice of them because I was like, I'm not even getting my hands dirty, but that's, I mean, I guess this kiln wouldn't exist if not for me. I did go down there and demolish the old one, and we reused the frame.
Hmm.
So I guess I did sort of get dirty for a weekend, but yeah, it's funny. It's like a skill that I still continue to use, but you know, I think it's that community. Like I lost my soda firing community when I left Southern California, and in Florida there wasn't one there. So then
Hmm.
it became I'm up at 4 in the morning by myself, going cross-eyed, and the kiln's not to temperature. What am I doing with my time? You know, like I'm like I love soda pots, but they have a language all their own. And I think it's really hard to put your own artistic voice in that language.
Yeah,
So I just finally said, you know what? I have other things I need to say, and it's not gonna be through soda. And that was a hard thing. I mean, I had like a relationship with that atmospheric method for like the better part of 10 years. And it's kind of why I fell in love with clay being in North Carolina, you know, just seeing all those like salt pots from the Moravians and like studying that history. And I had great community in undergrad. I had great community in San Diego to fire those pots that way. But then once that fell away, I was like, you know, I need to figure out how to do this on my own, I guess, because I'm not
yeah,
going to be in spaces like this forever. And it really just like blew it open for me, right? Like, thank God that kiln Matt Long built was on its last legs, because if I didn't have to rebuild that, maybe I would never have found what I'm supposed to be doing.
yeah. I wish I was there the day you had that realization. I mean, it's just like opening the lid. You're like, oh, I can do all this other stuff, right?
I can actually tell you what day I had that realization, and it wasn't from a interior perspective. It was so at Florida we taught classes. We were in instructor of record, and I was bringing my students into the crit space that all of the grads had put work in because we were having like an open house, like a
Hmm.
big art department open house that they have in the fall. And I had this big serving platter that was electric fired, and it had a bunch of color and shape on it. It was, you know, looks like my work now, but just more primitive. And one of my students walked, and there weren't titles on anything. One of my really sassy students walked in and said, "This is yours." And I was like, how do you know that? And she's like, I can just tell this is yours. You know, she didn't really have like a reason. She could just, from the way I present myself to what she was seeing, she was like, there's a relationship between you and this object. And that was like such an aha moment for me. I was like, wow, my work is starting to represent me without me being in the room.
Yeah,
Right. And that's what we want. So it was really her that
that's
kind
very
of
cool.
gave
I
me that
talked
moment.
I talked to people on the show, and a lot of them have collections. I had Eric Beavers the other day. He had a collection, and I said, "Well, who do you got behind you?" And he said, "Oh, so and so." I said, and then he showed me their pot. I go, "Oh yeah, yeah." Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I know that guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Well,
cool.
yeah, and it's all like 1 degree of separation with us, right? We all know each other
Yeah,
or each other's work,
yeah.
or somebody knows somebody that you know.
Which is why Ensika is so fun, right? Because you're like, dude, hey, how you doing? I can't wait to go to Ensika. Are you going this year?
Yeah, Idlewild will have a table this year. I will have work with Northern Clay Center again, like I did last year. And other than that, I'm looking forward to enjoying some free time a little bit more because last year or this year, I was the juror for the student show.
Oh, that's a
So I
great
had a,
show.
yeah, it was, thank you. It was a great experience, but it was a busy in Sika. Like we didn't even get a table with Idlewild because I was like, I don't have time to sit at a table. I had like to pick the awards and the
Yeah,
night of I had to speak and be there and there was all these like these.
that's honestly one of my favorite things to see at NCCA every year. Is it the K through 12 show? I think they call it.
So I did that one is amazing and
Oh,
blows
it's
my
amazing.
mind. Nicole Seisler and I were jurors for the undergrad, post-bac, and graduate student show that's concurrent in the same space with the invitational, the annual.
Cool. I got invited to be in. Actually, I sent a couple of mugs in. It's a resistance show this year. It's in one of the rooms up there, so I got into that, and I was like, "Cool!" I'm like, "Oh wait, I gotta make stuff for that." Ah, shit, I better get on that, which is
Yeah.
different, right? Like, I don't want to make something for something. You know what I mean? I think it takes away
Yeah.
the
It can
freeness.
be too forced. Yeah. You
Yes,
got to be careful with that.
yes, and it's something I don't want to force. I want it to be
Yeah.
from the inside because it's a
Hmm.
resistance. It's about what's going on in the world right now. So it's a resistance.
That kind of resistance. Okay. Not like a technical resistance.
No, no, no. I made these mugs that said "F this" on them,
Uh huh.
and I just called them morning mugs because that's how I feel in the morning. It's like I haven't had coffee yet. Leave me alone, right?
Yeah.
And people love them, so those are all gone. And they want to be in that show, but they want it to be a little bit more of like conceptual than
Hmm.
just saying F this on the mug, right? So I was like, okay, which is interesting, right? It makes me try to think what more can I say through a mug that says F this?
Yeah.
How can I make that speak more? So I don't know. And I'm happy being in that place of it making me think, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's a fun place to hang out. But I'm also nervous. Like, am I overthinking it because I got to make something cool? Am I not going to like anything? I don't know. So
Yeah, I mean, I think we all get in our heads about that, right? Like when somebody's asking for a certain thing or you're trying a new idea and you just really don't know how it's going to play out. And then you have this time limit breathing
yeah,
down your neck.
yep,
And it always comes up quicker than you feel like because Sequel's
yes,
in March, but they're like, send it in February.
yeah.
So I don't know. Sometimes lately with things like that, unless I have a ton of lead time, I just say no
Hmm.
because I feel like I give subpar work or it stresses me out to a degree where I'm like, "Hey, this is just a pot. You should remember that." Like
Yeah,
it's a moment in your career and I think we all feel like or at least me, right? I'm a perfectionist. I'm trying to break myself of that habit desperately, but I am. And I everything I do, I want to like put as much energy and thought and care as possible and I want it to represent me in a way where I'm proud of it. But you got to make bad work to make good work and you can't not show it to the world because then you don't really know if it worked or not or
yeah,
if it really accomplished what you wanted. And for years when I was starting out I'd be like, this isn't ready yet, like I can't, you know what I mean, like I can't show this, I can't put it on social media, I don't want to apply to shows. And at certain point I just realized that like my whole life is passing me by in a way and I need to just kind of throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. And
mhm,
as I've grown into more like I don't know if I'm emerging still or how you classify that, but as I'm growing into a mid-career artist, I should say, it's about refining those opportunities and like where you want to put your energy, but there's still that vulnerability and like you just need to try at certain points and put yourself out there
yeah,
even if it feels uncomfortable, even if you aren't super proud of what you're looking at. And always remember that you stared at it for 37 million hours, and most people don't. So they don't see the same things that you see in it.
yeah. It's funny you said that line. It made me laugh because that's really it's kind of a constant talking point on this show. Is to the newer potters out there or early potters. You're going to make pots you don't like. You're going to make pots that are not good. They're heavy. They're like, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. It's just like it's like learning to drive a car. You don't get behind the wheel and just punch it and go. down the street, you got to drive slow, learn to use your blinkers, learn how to parallel park. And somebody said once, they're like, as you get better with your medium, with your, you know, manipulating clay, your pots get better. It's just,
Yeah.
it's just by playing with it, really.
Right. I mean, I think you get to know the material, you get to know how to manage the moisture level, and you get to know what you can push and what you can't, or what the clay is going to push back, I guess. And it's just like you have to keep putting yourself in those uncomfortable moments. I'll say yes to things that like make me sick to my stomach, but I'm like, oh, that's how I know it's probably something I should do. I just know I need enough time to kind of complete that idea. Just it's never going to feel like enough time, I guess. But if someone is like, I need pots in 2 months for this, I'm like, no, no, no. You need to give me like 6 months. I mean, especially with other things going on and other jobs, family obligations, whatever.
Yeah.
I've gotten a lot better at saying no and being more thoughtful about what I do put my time into, so that I can really get the most kind of bang for my buck as far as putting work out into the world. And I gave myself permission long ago to get out of that production potter mindset and be like, it's not about making 1,000 mugs in a year.
Yeah.
I don't, when I get invited to the American Pottery Festival and they said, we might want 100 pieces from you throughout the year, depending on how well you sell, I almost said no, because I was like, do I make 100 pieces in
Yeah.
a year?
Yeah.
And to give them all to one gallery? I don't know about that. But then I was like, I've always wanted to do this. This is something I should probably say yes to, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Galleries, that's a whole nother thing. They're great. They do all the work, and it's, but I was telling someone the other day, I had a solo show at a gallery, and they said they wanted 50 pieces. Okay. And I said, that's great. I'm so excited. I got my own solo show, and I shipped them 50 pieces, cost me $400 in shipping. And I'm like, okay, so if I make a bowl and I want $60 for that bowl, they get 30 and it cost me 12 to ship.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, $18.
I know.
And then you get it a year later. It's like, I don't know, but just keep making pots, right?
Yeah, and I do think you can't always. I mean, you do need to look at the bottom line. Certainly, you can't continue to make if you're just constantly losing money, right?
Yeah.
But
There's a hole in
I
the boat.
think there's some things like that they push ideas forward. They give you a new community. They give you a new network. It's not all about monetary value. I mean, I wish it was, but it's not.
Happy to give them more nowadays because I don't do a lot of fairs and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and online sales are kind of hit and miss sometimes.
Yeah,
So yeah, here I'll send you 10, 12. You hold on to them. Otherwise, they're going to sit on my shelf and I need that space because I'm making more stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that's why I said yes to participating at NCECA again next year. It's not that I make the most being one artist in a booth, but I'm like, well, I have some stuff in my studio that's either going to sit here or it could have some eyes on it, So, and I'm really not. Online sales are a whole other thing that's been really hard the last couple of years, and it feels really demoralizing when you put so much energy and effort into it and then it just sits there.
Yeah,
And I know I'm not the only one experiencing that. I think it's just a sign of the times and everything else that's going on. But I'm like trying to figure out like how to better use my time. Is it in-person things where there's more immediacy to like, if the person doesn't walk away with it, it's not going to be there again, like it is online. So that's what this year was about. I really didn't sell online at all directly. And I took on a couple of like bigger art show, art market kind of opportunities. And I just wanted to see like, is this working better than online where it's just noise and nobody can really find you anymore?
find out.
That's not lucrative either, but it was more fun maybe getting out into the world.
Yeah. I see those people. Actually, I saw one this morning. We were talking about like scrolling on Instagram and it's sucking your brain. There was a picture of a lady on her Instagram and she's standing in front of a pile of boxes that are all packed and shipped and ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, oh, what a great sale I had. Okay, well, good. That's good for you. I'm happy for you, but like, I don't get
That
that.
has never been my experience. Not
It's not
one
good for
time.
me.
And I used to get really down on myself for that. Like, why can't I do this like other people seem to do it? Like, you start comparing yourself.
Yeah.
I'm not a good business person. I will own that. Like, I would much rather give you a tip on how to fix your kiln or something and not charge you for that. Like, I people come to me a lot with technical questions, and
Yeah.
I'm so much more of an educator than I am like a selling artist. And I just I think we all need to like be a little bit more in touch with what feels genuine in our practice, right? And honestly, if I got like 100 orders in a day, I'd probably have a panic attack about having to pack all of those in like a really short period of time.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I used to really take that pretty personally when I saw a post like that. I have done some things to my Instagram to make that a little bit better for my headspace. Like, I turned off the function where you can see likes on other people's posts
Yeah. Yeah.
to help myself not compare.
I have to look at that.
Yeah, I saw an artist that I know at the DC, what is that, Pottery on the Hill
Yeah.
thing that
Hmm.
happens? Yeah. So I'm from that area. I was just in town visiting family. I saw that it was happening that weekend. I was like, hell yeah, I'll go hang out for a little bit, you know?
Hmm.
Try not to buy a pot because I don't really need one.
Yeah. Yeah. You do.
And someone was like, oh, you know that you can like reset your Instagram so that it stops like feeding you the same things every 30 days. And it was so lovely. It went back to like just pots and
Yeah. Yeah.
animal videos for a couple weeks. And I was like, yes, this is great.
I reset it all the time now. That's too funny.
I didn't know that was a thing. I knew about some other things you could do to protect yourself, but I was like, I'm going to reset this every 30 days now and maybe see my artist friends that I actually want to see on here instead of like celebrity gossip or whatever the hell else this thing feeds me.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I mean, and it's so hard not to compare yourself, and it's just, I mean, what do you do? Just keep making pots, and
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really the trick of it. Like, it's not that it's a trick, but if you want to keep doing this as a career or as a practice long term, it ebbs and flows. You're going to make things you're really proud of sometimes. You're going to be in a bit of a lull sometimes. You're going to see other people succeed and get opportunities and wonder why you didn't get those yet. There's things that are coming about now that I really thought 10 years ago were supposed to be mine. And I'm glad that I didn't get them 10 years ago because I don't think I was ready for them, quite honestly. And now it feels like I'm ready for them. And there's something larger at work than just what I want happening in the background.
we talked a little bit earlier about John Gill, and I mentioned him a lot because he was pretty influential in my early ceramics days. He said also, he just says crazy things, and some of them stick.
Yeah.
He said to me one time, "Don't make pots for a show, select pots for a show."
Yes. I wish that I could work ahead enough to do that.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks again, John. Oh, that's too funny. Well, we're almost at time. Oh my gosh, we're at an hour and 35 minutes. What else can we chat about? What's your dog's name, by the way?
Chauncey.
Chauncey, Chaun.
Chauney. Yeah, he's named after, I don't know if I should admit this right now, but he's named after Chauncey Billups.
Chauncey Billups.
Yeah, but he's not having the best moment right now. So,
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's a cool name. I love dogs. I have two dogs, two cats. It's crazy.
yeah, I wish we had more animals, but it's hard enough to take care of him, quite honestly.
I know. And I hate to say this, I love my family, but I'm the only one that feeds the animals. So, like, I get up in the morning and I open the door, and the cat is standing there, like, oh God, he's right there. He's like, morning. What you doing? Where you at? How you doing?
Yeah.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
feed you. And he'll sit on the I'll sit on the couch having coffee, and he'll sit right here. It's just like, are you going to feed me? I'm like, okay, can I have a cup of coffee first? You were a Ceramic Monthly Emerging Artist in 2018. That's cool.
Yeah, that was one of those things that felt like crushing, when I didn't get it the first time. And I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh, I just really think that this was meant for me. What the hell?
yeah, yeah.
But that there's so many talented people. You have to apply more than once. I wish someone would have told me that a
I
long time
applied and
ago.
didn't get it, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, how you, but I think I had been making pots too long. It's like the 10,
Yeah, I don't, and I feel like that emerging kind of label, it means something different to every institution. And who was it? Like Martha Grover, or someone got the emerging artist thing at Ensika and Ceramics Monthly the same year. And to me, those are not the same thing. Like, I feel like one is before the other, you know? So I was like, that's really interesting to see someone get those in the same calendar year. I don't, it just, yeah, I don't know. I just don't think you can take rejection personally. That's a very basic thing to say, but, and it's hard
yeah,
when someone rejects you. I don't really have such a zen attitude towards it when I have a rejection letter in my face. But maybe like a few days later, I can give myself some perspective and say, it's just, it's not right now, or maybe it's opening up space for me to go do something else, like we don't really have a full picture about like the trajectory of our creative journeys, right?
yeah.
So
Well, you went through academia. You got a BFA and an MFA, right?
I got a BA and an MFA. And I was told that I would not be able to get an MFA with a BA, but I proved them wrong.
You know, it's funny. 10 years ago or so, so Alfred is actually a New York State school, and it's not affiliated with Alfred University. It's its own thing.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's the New York State College of Ceramics at Alfred. Everyone just knows it as Alfred.
Yeah.
Ah,
Okay.
so a little trivia for you. So what they did a couple years ago is they opened up a wheel throwing class to
Mm-hmm.
kids at Alfred University that were taking liberal arts, so they could get more money from that part of the school, right? And
Gotcha.
I know the whole faculty there because I've been going there forever. And I talked to the head of the department at the time. I said, "Hey, I'll teach that class. I'll teach it for nothing." I said, "You know what? I'll teach it for a bag of clay and some studio space, right?" And I mean, you're going to be teaching kids how to make like little mugs,
Yeah.
Ron
Right.
Philbin.
I do.
Um,
I have one of his mugs. So
aren't
sweet.
these the best? I love this thing. It's so
I just
comfortable.
love it. And it's like really withstood the test of time. Like I thought that
Sturdy mug.
decal would come off, or like, I don't,
It's a very sturdy mug.
it is.
But what I was told about teaching that class was you have to have an MFA to teach that.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. Like it's the whole academia
Yeah.
side of it. I was like, oh, that's fine.
Because it's through a public school too, right? You're saying it's not, yeah. So they really do need to follow those rules. I've worked at private schools that have bent those in the past because they can, but
Yeah,
yeah. And I am glad I got my MFA for a few reasons. That being one of them. Just having the option to
sure.
go
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
teach if I feel like I want to or need to for some reason. But
I'm just more of a lackadaisical kind of wing it, type of person. I'm like, whatever, man. And people are like, well, you got to do it this way. I'm like, do you though? I guess maybe you do. I guess that's what keeps the world going. But
yeah, I mean, I think that there's like a calculated way to break rules where it makes sense in clay. That's what I like to tell
yeah,
my
yeah,
students because I was taught like a really narrow vision of how to work with clay when I was an undergrad. And once I got out of school, I was like, "Oh my god, you can buy bags of clay. Like you can buy underglazes." Like no,
yeah,
my professor did not like he made us make everything from scratch.
yeah.
And I'm not even that old, right? Like we had
Wow.
the Val Cushing handbook. That was like the Bible.
Orange book.
Like, yeah, like I had this whole like very grassroots foundation. And when I got out of college and started going to other places or in Sika or whatever, I was like, oh my God, there's so much I don't know. And there's so much you can just buy. And like, it just
Mhm.
really blew everything open
Yeah.
almost too much, right? You're like, oh no, this is like, what do I even pick? Like, okay, maybe it was better to start small and find all this later, but
That's what I used to
it,
tell my friend Sean at Alfred. I'm like, hey, you guys are making artists out of these people, but you're not teaching them how to build a website. You're not teaching them how to open a bank account.
yeah,
You're like, now you're an artist. Good luck. Like, well, what about opening a
yeah.
studio and being in the world and creating a website and, doing online sales? That's a big part of stuff now. It's not just making an artist out of you.
I know. And I wish that there was more of like an applied craft kind of stint on curriculum like that because I've had students that are in college come and do internships with me about that to get some of that information. I don't think I'm like an expert enough to be teaching other artists how to do their taxes and run their business, but I've just like, fuddled my way through it kind of by talking to other people and figuring out how to
Yeah.
manage some of these things. But I think in art school they want to teach you how to make good art, and then not anything against them, but they're all professors. They don't really know, unless they had that part of their career where they were self-employed or where they were just living off their work. They're not the ones to teach you about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they can teach you how to maybe get a gallery. We had like a professional practices class that kind of encompassed that, like write an artist statement, do your website, blah, blah, blah. But it's definitely wasn't enough. And I wish there was some sort of commitment that was
I
like
just feel like
taught by an adjunct or
yeah.
someone that was out in the world doing that could
Yeah.
actually tell you, like, this is what works. This is what's important. This is what you need to focus on.
You have to buy clay.
You have to buy clay. You have to figure out how
I
much it costs to fire it. If you don't have your own kiln, you have to, like, and that's why so many really talented people just stop after
Is
school
out.
because it's too hard.
I just bought 22 boxes of clay, and for the past 10 or 12 years or 15 years, I got my clay from Alfred. I used Alfred's that's over there, a Junior Tile Red. And when I called up the guy that runs the store now, James Tingy, he's a potter, he'll be at NCCA. He was like, I
know
need
that name.
James, yeah, he's a wood fire guy.
Oh, okay.
He's super smart, but he was like, yeah, I can't give you clay. I said, what do you mean? What are you talking about? So I literally just switched to Brooklyn Red 2 months ago.
They like change their policies, like a liability thing. Why can't he sell you clay anymore?
I don't think because you can't get Newman's Red anymore, and that was a big part of it.
Okay.
So they're making less. I don't know, but he said they have less. I got less. I can't give it to you. I said, okay, that's
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, and that's something that's becoming more and more common. Like materials are getting overmined.
Yep.
There's
lithium
things that are going out of circulation. Yeah, like the lithium thing with the batteries, and it's really like, I don't know, it's just such an interesting time to do this as a profession, because you're dealing with like competing with all of these people that just learned clay but have a marketing degree. You have like inflation and these higher material prices. You have your materials going out, so you have to start testing and substituting. I mean, a friend of mine that got the job at Lewis and Clark after I taught there, Nicole Seisler, she says that getting an art degree is like getting a degree in problem solving. And I think that's actually the most accurate way that you can kind of frame that, because that's really what we do on a daily basis. I wish someone would teach me how to make money, or would have taught me how to make money. That would have been nice too. But I can problem solve kind of anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I was making that big platter yesterday, and I wanted the platter to be more. I wanted a slight bend. I didn't want a bowl, right? And I have a slump mold that's like a big fat bowl, so I ended up making like this kind of. I just taped it all.
Like a drop mold.
Yeah, no. So this went over that slump mold, but it just held it this way. It actually just held the ends up a little bit more.
Yeah. Okay.
Just found some stuff and stuffed it underneath and let it dry. So yeah, like you said, you're constantly problem solving.
Yep.
But
yeah.
Val Cushing was a friend of mine. Did you know it?
Oh no.
He was my buddy's dad. I just knew him as Val. Right? It was the weirdest. It was the coolest thing. Like I just knew him and his wife, and his son Eric ran a restaurant. And when I was in school there, I was the waiter at the restaurant. And I was a theater major, right? So I didn't know anything. I wasn't doing ceramics at that time. So I'm sitting there taking this girl's order. She's sitting at the table, and Val and his wife Elsie would sit in the corner. Every Tuesday they would have dinner down there, right in the corner. So I'm writing a thing down, and he walks by and he taps me on the shoulder. He goes, "Hey, Griff." I go, "Oh, hey, Val," like that. And then I look down at the girl, and she's like, I go, "What?" She goes, "Was that Val Cushing?"
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. He's here every Tuesday. What do you mean? No. And she was just like, "He's a rock star." And I never realized until I became a potter, and it was too late. He had passed away. He got to see some of my early stuff, and he was so good at looking at a piece of junk pottery, going, "Keep at it, kid. You're doing okay. Keep trying." You know, like, yeah, he was a super nice. Yeah, cool. All right. So I think we're at our tip point. Do you
Okay.
remember what it was?
I think I'm gonna go ahead and say it's just a pot. Try not to get too bogged down in needing it to be your master work for one object, because really it's about the body of work you leave behind within the whole range of your career.
Just a pot.
It's
Yeah.
just a pot, It is important. It is got a lot of value, but it's just a pot.
Yep. Well, and like John said, never fall in love with any piece of your meat because you can always make another one.
Right. And you might have to if someone breaks it.
Yeah. Or if you drop it on your own. I was dipping mugs the other day, and I went like this, and I like to hold my fingers, and I dipped it in the glaze, right? And I went like this to put it on the table, right? And I was going like that to slide it, and it went whoop bang. And I was like, all right, let's move on. Just totally broke it, and just oh well, make it up.
It's the nice part about making multiples, and it's not done till it's done, right? Until it's out of the kiln,
No,
you
yeah,
can't you can't call it good.
yeah. I'm a master reclaimer. Ah. Awesome. So tell us also a couple of the things where we can find your work, a website, any galleries where people can buy your stuff right now.
Yeah, so I opted out of a holiday sale this year because I've got a lot of life stuff going on. But you can find my work with the winter exhibition through Northern Clay Center. I have a
Mhm.
lot of lovely pots with the Charlie Cummings Gallery all year round. And Saltstone Ceramics up in Seattle has a shop and an online shop, and I regularly give them work. My website is adrienneeliades.com, and I do keep it up to date even though the shop's not open right now, as far as just like upcoming events, and you can see archives and a bunch of past interviews or articles I've written for Pottery Making Illustrated. I put all those on there too. As far as events coming up, I'll have work with NZCA at Northern Clay Center. And then please, please, please check out our lineup for Hot Clay in June. We have 8 really talented artists coming to teach. Everybody's workshop has open spots in it, but Kelsey Bowen, that one is sold out.
Cool.
And we have a good offering of figure sculpture, of throwing, and of hand building.
Who else is teaching there this year?
And we have Forrest Middleton coming, and then who else is coming? Mark Arnold. We have Malia Peoples doing a jewelry making workshop. We have Daniel Garver coming to teach mold making for 2 weeks. So they're going to go through all of the process from making molds to glazing and casting in between. We also have Eric Stearns coming to do his phenomenal raku work and pierced work.
Neat.
We have Milo. I can never say his last name, so I'm sorry, Milo. Yes, thank you. Yeah, coming to do illustrative surfaces. And then we have Michelle Stella Rosano coming to do full figures for us. So
Neat.
really, really great lineup. I'm super excited about
Yeah,
this.
that sounds fantastic. Milo, I just asked him to be on the show. He's going to be on in February, I think.
Great. He's so fun. I got to meet him and take his workshop at APF, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I invited you. He's such a nice human.
Yeah. A lot of potters are. And that's one of the reasons I love this show is I just want to talk to these people because most of them are really cool people. Most artists are, but Milo seems wonderful. So I'm really excited to talk to him.
Yeah.
Mark Arnold is a golfer. So every once in a while, he'll text me a golf question. He's like, hey, man, he sent me one the other day. Like, what did he say? I did it. I broke 80. He was texting me. It's kind of like.
Yeah, he's into a lot of outdoor sports. It's nice
he
to
was a
see his other hobbies.
Wasn't he?
Yeah.
But he hasn't been making pots lately. So that's huge to get him.
Yeah, I've been working on him for a while. He's teaching high school now, but I keep just being like, "Are you sure you don't want to come and teach a workshop?" So I'm just like really persistent and annoying. It's fine.
That's hilarious. Him and I are supposed to swap mugs, and he's like, I don't have any right now. I'm like, what do you mean? I need a Mark Arnold mug. He was one of my kind of inspirations into Terra Sigillata.
Nice.
And Sunshine Bob was my inspiration into hand building. I saw one of her like 30-second clips of her, and I was like, oh, wow, that's an easy way to build. It was like one of those duh moments, like, oh my God. But I started doing the bases, the butt bases, like Mark does a couple of years ago.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
And I did them in plaster, which we talked about earlier. And then I just started making them out of clay, just bisque molds.
Easier, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And then one lady started telling me that I stole her idea because she put it in Pottery Making Illustrated. Yeah.
It
I said,
wasn't her idea. I don't even know who you're talking about, but that's a really old idea.
yeah.
So
I said, have you heard of the Aztecs?
yeah, I know. It's like nothing we do is even unique to this culture or this time,
Yeah.
right? Like I can't claim anything that I do as like my own intellectual property. It's just like cutting and pasting things from prehistoric and contemporary artists
Yeah.
that work for me. Like it's not nothing's new, especially in ceramics. It's too old for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I said, okay, yeah, and it was really funny. Mark Arnold messaged me because he saw the interaction because I shared it. I'm like, who is this
Mhm.
lady and why is she saying this horrible stuff to me on Instagram? And he's like, oh God, you do you, buddy.
Yeah.
We became
Come
friends.
on. And
Yeah,
like there's room for everybody, like we know. Unless you copyrighted that or something. I'm sorry. Like
yeah,
that's not a thing.
yeah. I'm not copyrighting anything. Anyway,
No.
I super appreciate your time. You're awesome. I look forward to meeting you. I love your work, and I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was super fun.
Very cool. Thanks for being on the show. We got more to talk about. Maybe we'll do part two next year.
Okay, sounds good.
Come back. All right. See ya.